Maher, who is Uri Berliner?
Mr. Berliner is a former senior editor,
That's all?
a former senior business editor for NPR.
How long do you work at NPR?
I believe he was there just over 25 years.
25 years? Award-winning journalist? Did he win any awards?
Our time did not
Peabody
overlap.
Award? That's pretty important, isn't it?
That is,
So
absolutely.
pretty distinguished journalist, right?
Certainly.
And he wrote a long story about what you do at NPR. Is NPR biased?
Congressman, I have never seen any instance of
Never?
political bias determining editorial decisions, no.
Well, Mr. Berliner, in his story last year, wrote, in the D.C. area, editorial positions at NPR, he said he found 87 registered Democrats, 0 Republicans. Is that accurate?
We do not track the numbers or the voter registration, but I find that
Was award-winning journalist who worked 25 years at NPR, Mr. Berliner, was he lying when he wrote that?
I am not presuming such. I just we don't track that information about our journalists.
87 to 0, and you're not biased.
I think that is concerning if those numbers are accurate.
Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. If you love America, the Constitution, and the truth, you're in the right place. Today, we need to talk about a bombshell congressional hearing that exposes the absolute rot inside NPR, National Public Radio, and why you, as a taxpayer, should be furious about what's going on. So, I just watched Congressman Jim Jordan absolutely grill the CEO of NPR about their obvious left-wing bias, their plummeting audience numbers, and the millions of your tax dollars that are being funneled into this propaganda machine. And let me tell you, this hearing was a masterclass in exposing the double standards and hypocrisy of the so-called public media.
It's I mean, it wasn't 44-43, it wasn't 60-27, it wasn't 70-17, it wasn't even 80-7. It was 87 Democrats, 0 Republicans, and you say NPR is not biased. How about the big stories over the last few years? According to Mr. Berliner, again, he wrote on the Trump-Russia story, he wrote, at NPR, we hitched our wagon to Trump's most visible antagonist, Representative Adam Schiff. He said they interviewed him 25 times. Is that accurate?
I was not there at the time, but those numbers sound accurate. Yes.
Those sound accurate. But then he said when the Mueller report came out and they said, Robert Mueller said he found no evidence of collusion, he said Russiagate faded from our programming. Is that accurate?
Again, I was not there at the time. I couldn't say.
You couldn't say?
I was not at NPR at the time.
You didn't prepare for that? You knew we were going to ask you about this guy, didn't you? It's come up like 6,000 times already in the hearing.
I just couldn't say whether it faded from our coverage, sir.
How about this story? October 2020, the New York Post had the Hunter Biden laptop story, and one of those editors, I guess one of those 87 Democrat editors, said this: we don't want to waste our time on stories that are not really stories. We don't want to waste the listeners' and readers' times on stories that are just pure distractions. Was that a pure distraction story?
Our current editorial leadership believes that that was a mistake, as do I.
Yeah, the whole country knows that was a mistake. Definitely impacted the election, or I think it certainly impacted the election. How about the COVID origin story? That's a pretty big story too, right? Mr. Berliner said, we became fervent members of the team Natural Origin, even declaring that the lab leak was debunked by scientists. Turns out, though, the lab leak is what most people think actually caused the COVID virus.
Sorry, is there a question there?
There is. You guys were 0 for 3 on the three of the biggest stories in the last 5 years. You guys were 0 for 3, and yet you maintain that NPR is not biased?
Congressman, I do not believe we are politically biased. No, we are a nonpartisan organization.
Nonpartisan organization. What's happened to your listeners over the last 5 years? Went up, down, or stayed the same?
It has gone up and down and is now going back up.
Well, I thought 5 years ago it was at 60 million. And you said in your opening statement, I think, 43 million.
That's correct.
So 43 million now, and it was at 60 million 5 years ago. I can do some math. That looks like it went down.
And is now going back up.
It's now going back up?
Yes, it is.
How much has it went back up?
It's gone up a couple of millions over the past years.
So you went from 60 million to 41 million. Now you're back up to 43 million.
In a year's time, I'm very proud of that growth, sir.
Okay, you're proud of that growth. Okay. But over 5 years, it's went down 18 million.
That is correct, sir.
Okay. Should taxpayers subsidize NPR?
I believe that taxpayers subsidize local stations, sir. That is the vast majority of what
I thought you said you got 11 million from Corporation of Public Broadcasting, which is taxpayer funded directly to you. right?
That is to support the public
And
radio
then local
satellite
stations get it
system.
from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, right? They get taxpayer
100
money.
million that goes to the local
100 million goes to
stations,
local stations, and then those local stations buy back programming and content from you. So that money goes to the local stations, comes back to you, gets routed through the local stations, all taxpayer money.
Those fees are actually based on private donations rather than on federal funding.
Well, we all know money's fungible, so some of it gets put in there.
Certainly, we could agree that money is fungible.
What? More money for less listeners. You fired the guy who pointed all this out, who said that you were so biased to the left that you lost listeners, which is exactly happening, and you're here maintaining that, oh, you need to continue to get taxpayer money.
I did not fire Mr. Berliner, sir.
Okay, the guy that left after all that. Understand. Are you fundraising off today's hearing?
Sir, I believe that there was a message that went out earlier today letting people know we were coming in. Yes.
Yeah, and at the bottom of the message it said, donate now, right?
I don't recall the exact
I can
language.
show it to you. Right there it is. Donate now. I mean, I'm not against fundraising. We all do it. I mean, I get it. But it's, I assume this fundraising thing is probably going to all the left listeners who are subsidized content by the taxpayers, and that's the
gentleman's
rub.
time is
That's
expired.
the rub. I yield back.
I now
Let's start
recognize
with Uri Berliner. If you don't know the name, you should. This guy was a senior business editor at NPR for 25 years. He's a Peabody Award winner, not some fringe character, but a respected, decorated journalist. And what did he do? He exposed the truth about NPR's political makeup. According to Berliner, in the D.C. editorial offices, there were 87 registered Democrats, 0, that's right, 0 Republicans. Think about that for a second. Out of 87 journalists, not a single Republican. And the CEO, when asked about this, just shrugs her shoulders and says, "We don't track that information." Are you kidding me? If it was the other way around, 87 Republicans and 0 Democrats, the mainstream media would be screaming about bias from the rooftops. But because it's overwhelmingly leftist, suddenly it's not a problem? That's laughable. Let's talk about NPR's track record on the biggest stories of the past 5 years. Congressman Jordan laid it out perfectly. The Trump-Russia story? NPR hitched their wagon to Adam Schiff, interviewed him 25 times. How many times did they interview anyone from the Trump camp to give the other side? Crickets. Mueller report comes out. No evidence of collusion. Coverage just fades away. No correction, no accountability, nothing. Hunter Biden laptop story? NPR's editor called it a distraction. They outright ignored it. Even the CEO admitted that was a mistake. No kidding. That story was real, it mattered, and it was censored right before a presidential election. COVID lab leak theory? NPR declared the lab leak idea bunk, parroting the establishment narrative. Now, most Americans believe the lab leak is the likely origin, but NPR buried that story too. Folks, they are 0 for 3 on the biggest news stories of our time, and yet they sit there and claim, with a straight face, that they're not politically biased. Give me a break. Here's what really gets me. NPR's audience has dropped from 60 million 5 years ago to just 43 million today. That's a massive decline. Why? Because people are sick and tired of being lied to, manipulated, and ignored if they don't toe the leftist line. But guess what? Even as they lose listeners, they keep taking your tax dollars. Over $100 million from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting goes to the local stations, and those stations turn around and buy content with your money from NPR. Plus, NPR gets another $11 million directly. And the CEO wants to pretend that money isn't fungible? That's economic nonsense. Ask yourself, why are we, the American taxpayers, forced to subsidize a media outlet that openly despises our values, censors conservative voices, and pushes leftist propaganda? It gets worse. On the very day of the congressional hearing, NPR sent out a fundraising email with a big Donate Now button at the bottom, capitalizing on the controversy to milk their leftist donors, all while taking your money through taxes. It's a rigged system, folks. They take your money, then ask their echo chamber for more, all to keep the cycle of bias going. Here's the bottom line. NPR is not a public service. It's a Democratic Party messaging operation, plain and simple. They're losing the trust of the American people, their audience is in free fall, and they're still getting millions of your tax dollars to push an agenda that's against everything we believe in. It's time to cut the cord. End taxpayer funding for NPR. If they can't survive on their own, maybe they shouldn't survive at all. Let the free market decide, not the bureaucrats in D.C. If you agree, smash that like button, share this video, and tell your representatives. And no more taxpayer dollars for NPR. We need real accountability, real transparency, and a media that tells the truth, not just what the left wants to hear. Thanks for watching. Stay free, stay informed, and keep fighting for America. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.